Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir, and if you did not know already, then I am a CICC licensed immigration consultant. This channel is all about Canadian immigration news, updates, processes, things you should do, things you definitely should not with regards to your Canadian immigration application. I have something very, very important that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is about open work permits. Now, what is this open work permits I want to talk to you about? Well, what happens is that there are a lot of people who go to several consultants, several agents who are basically exploring different ways to come to Canada, which by all means you should. I mean, I'm absolutely always in the favor of doing thorough research, due diligence before you obviously, choose to come to Canada. Now, what is also then happening is that they will also tend to fall into traps laid out by some of these unscrupulous agents, lawyers, consultants out there who will try to sell you certain concepts which honestly are not true. And one of those concepts, which at this point of time is really being sold at a very high price, is a concept of open work permit. Now, what is being said is that if you pay a certain amount in thousands of dollars to them, then these guys will get you a job offer from an employer, whether it's in Saskatchewan, whether it's in Manitoba, whether it's in Alberta, and based on that, they will be able to get you an open work permit. And after that, you will be able to apply for a permanent residence. Now, and this is very troubling because you have to understand, if you ever get a job offer, if you ever get a job offer from an employer in Canada, then your work permit cannot be open work permit. It will always be a closed work permit, because the whole point of you coming to Canada, or you being allowed to come to Canada to work, is based on a job offer that has been given to you by an employer, and therefore your work permit has to be restricted to the employer. And so there is a condition there, always. Who can apply for an open work permit? There is always going to be a eligibility criteria even for these. The first one, if you're eligible for an open work permit, is an international student who has graduated from a designated learning institution and therefore also referred to as a PGWP, or a postgraduate open work permit. Everybody knows this is one of the most common work permits, open work permits that people in Canada can get. So if you're studying in Canada at a designated learning institution, you may be eligible. Now, when I'm saying you may be, it basically means not all study programs and not all students who study are eligible for open work permits. Okay, so there is also certain colleges, they are designated learning institutions, but if you study there, they may not necessarily give you an open work permit. And otherwise, if you are a student who's no longer able to meet the cost of your studies, you are a destitute student, if you are able to establish that you came to Canada, you had provided all the means of your finance, that you could take care of your expenses, you could look after your studies, but there have now been these compelling or unprecedented or emergency circumstances that have now occurred in your life, based on which you can no longer meet the cost of your studies, and you are now in a situation where you cannot study, you cannot do anything, and under those conditions, you may be eligible, you may be able to apply for an open work permit. However, mind you that the bar to prove these conditions is very, very high. So you have to be able to prove and establish that. Then you have an employer-specific work permit and are being abused or at risk of being abused at your job. So you've come to Canada, you're on a closed work permit, but your employer is abusive. It could be mental abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be emotional abuse. If you think you are being abused or you have a threat of being abused, then again, you can reach out to the IRCC and you can apply for the vulnerable open work permit, which you would be eligible to. Again, the bar is quite high, so you have to be able to prove that you are indeed being abused or are at a risk of being abused. Now, another one is if you've applied for permanent residence in Canada. Submitting an express entry profile or receiving a nomination is not the same thing as applying for permanent residence. It's very, very different. Applying for permanent residence is when you have submitted your PR application, means you have submitted all the documentation, you have paid the fees, and you have formally, officially submitted the application to IRCC, and you have received an acknowledgement of receipt, which basically means you have received a confirmation from IRCC saying, we have received your documents, we have received your paperwork, and we will now start processing your application. Once you have the document called AOR, you will then be able to apply for an open work permit. Again, there are some criteria and conditions. One of them is that you have to be in Canada. You already have to have a work permit before submitting the new application for work permit. So there are again conditions. But if you have applied for permanent residence in Canada, you will be eligible to apply. Then another open work permit that a lot of people are familiar with is the spouse open work permit, or also referred to as could be a spouse, could be a common law partner. So if you're a dependent family member of someone who has applied for a permanent residence. Now, mind you, these are the broad terminology. You will then have to go to the individual criteria requirements for eligibility for each of these factors. So we're just covering at a very, very broad level at this point of time. So you're a dependent family member, which is basically a spouse or a common law partner of someone who has applied for permanent residence. Along with the bridge open work permit, you may be eligible to apply. And the next one is you are the spouse or a common law partner of a skilled worker or an international student. So if you're already an international student eligible for a postgraduate work permit, then your spouse may also, or common law partner may also be eligible for an open work permit. If you're a skilled worker, you're a foreign worker in Canada, your spouse, common law partner will also be eligible to apply, will be eligible. Okay. Sorry, no, not will, may be eligible, because again, the knock categories play a part. If you're a foreign worker and you are working in a skill type knock 0A or B, then your spouse or common law partner may be eligible for an open work permit. You are the spouse or common law partner of an applicant of Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program or Atlantic Immigration Program, now no longer pilot. Now you are a refugee claimant, protected person, or their family member, again eligible to apply for an open work permit. You are under an unenforceable removal order. You can apply for an open work permit. Are a temporary resident permit holder. I will explain this to you in a bit, because this is another place where people get scammed and abused. And are a young worker participating in special programs. So these two will need a bit more explanation. So let me just very quickly go with this. Temporary resident permit is not the same thing as temporary residence visa. There are two different things, entirely two different things. TRV, temporary residence visa, is what you get when you apply for a visit visa, student visa, work visa to come to Canada. Okay, this is a temporary residence visa. It allows you to come to Canada. If then you have the for a status, for example, a student or a worker, then you will be issued with a study permit or a work permit at the port of entry once you entered in Canada. This is not the same thing as TRP or temporary resident permit. Huge difference. What is a TRP? Temporary resident permit is issued to those people who are otherwise inadmissible to Canada. Okay, so for example, God forbid, you have a DUI, driving under impairment. So you have a drunk driving related charge on you, based on which you are now inadmissible to Canada. Mind you, drunk driving is a big deal in Canada. It's a criminal offense. It comes under serious criminality. So if you have that in your record, in your charge, you are now inadmissible to Canada. If you try to come to Canada, you will be denied entry. If you are such an individual, you can apply for a TRP, temporary resident permit, to come to Canada. After that, you can also apply for a work permit. So let's say you have been given a TRP for 6 months period. Now you are here in Canada for 6 months. You can then also apply for a work permit. Okay. Just because you have a TRP does not mean you can work. Two different things. Again, please take note of this. This is where people get fooled by these agents. Okay, they tell you that TRP is the same thing as TRV. You will have a visit visa. Once you go to Canada, you can apply for an open work permit. It is absolutely the way people get scammed. TRP, temporary resident permit, is only for those people who are otherwise inadmissible to Canada. And finally, the last one is a young worker participating in a special program. So special program here, again, people get fooled all the time. Please, special programs they're referring to International Experience Canada. Again, you can apply depending on the eligibility criteria. So who can apply? All right, if I scroll down here, find out if you're eligible. Now, on your screens, when I'm sharing, you cannot see the drop-down menu. I wish you were able to. For some reason, it doesn't allow the drop-down menu to come. And there is this list of countries. In this list of countries, India is not there. Pakistan is not there. Sri Lanka is not there. Nepal is not there. Bangladesh is not there. Egypt is not there. In fact, most of the Asian and African countries are not there for IEC, International Experience Canada class. And here also you are applying for a working holiday. You have to be below the age of 35 years old. And again, you have to come into a pool, you have to apply in a pool, your scores will matter, the draws will happen. Once you get invited, you will be submitting your application, and then if you get approved, then you will be able to get your open work permit to come to Canada. It's usually for a period of 2 years, where you can then come to Canada, work for different employers, etc. So this is International Experience Canada permit. So if you get told that somebody is going to apply for an open work permit for you and it sounds too good to be true, then trust me, it is, you are being scammed. Please do not part with your thousands of dollars. Do more research, understand what it is all about, and only then, after having done your complete research, and if you still cannot apply by yourself, only then trust a consultant. And also trust a consultant who is a licensed immigration consultant, not just anybody who's on a corner shop down the street that you live in. All right, so this is about the open work permits. Well, that's all from my side for today. If you wish to make an appointment with me, then that is the link. By all means, we can discuss your application in detail one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also smash the like button on the video while we are at it. Thank you for joining me. Take care, and I shall see you next time.